Gilbert Burns is replaceable, interchangeable, does not matter, and is unimpactful to the UFC or the sport of MMA. True statement. Had it been made in January of this year, Kamaru Usman has done nothing in this sport except win the Ultimate Fighter on an easy season of which I watched and could not even tell you who he beat in the finals. Does not matter and is going nowhere. True statement. Had it been made in January of 2017. Ronda Rousey will never sell a ticket, will never get a contract, and will never be on top of the bill and should look for something else to do. True statement. Had it been made in January of 2012. Nobody's a big deal until they're a big deal. Nobody's a star until they're a star. Nothing will ever beat the example that was given when Ted Turner, one of the richest men in the world, called up Vince McMahon and said, "Vince, I'm in the wrestling business. I just wanted you to hear it from me first." And Vince said, "Well, that's real nice, Ted, but I'm in the entertainment business," and hung up the phone. 4 years later, after Ted Turner bought absolutely everybody that would take a paycheck, who was everybody? That included cameramen, that included referees, announcers, writers, and all of the talent from Vince. Ted Turner was out of business, and Vince is still standing today. Vince had no stars. All the stars were gone. I mean, how many times do we have to learn the same damn lesson before we remember it? Brock Lesnar was getting ready to leave, and Ronda was getting ready to leave, and Conor was getting ready to leave. And what is the UFC going to do? I guess they're all going to go out of business. What did the UFC do? They added 5 more dates to the next calendar year. That's what they did. They ended an agreement with Fox. It was good for $1 billion over 7, signed one for 1.5 with ESPN over 5. That's what they did. What did Vince do? When Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man, Big Daddy Cool and Razor Ramon jumped ship to Atlanta, he looked at his roster and he found somebody called Stone Cold Steve Austin. He looked on the other side of his roster and he found somebody called The Rock. Gilbert Burns did not matter. That's a true statement. Very rude, very cold statement. I don't feel good saying it, but it would be a fair statement. In January of this year, that was not very long ago. That was not very long ago. And you could go through the list and keep finding those guys. Kamaru Usman to headline a UFC? You would sound silly had you said that 3 years ago. Kamaru Usman on a UFC in any spot but the main event would make you sound foolish today. These things happen very fast. Should an athlete take what he views as a lowball offer to be given an opportunity? I don't give a damn what the answer to that question is because I don't give a damn about athletes. I care about competitors. I care about somebody who has a dream from childhood and sacrificed and worked hard, who didn't have all of the same social life and didn't go to all of the same parties and didn't have all of the same as fun as everybody else because they were locked in a gym or on a field or flipping tires or climbing ropes to get themselves a little bit closer to their dream. I care about competitors. And the fact that a competitor who can go from Little League on to the pros, be recognized for what he does, live his dream, oh, and by the way, get a financial participation at the end of it. I mean, my goodness. It's not the way it used to be done. That is absolutely not the way it used to be done. The IOC, still, the greatest gag that they pull on anybody is that they do not pay their competitors. And every 4 years, people come out of the woodwork to make sure they participate in which will be multi-billion-dollar business for the IOC, of which will keep it all. The NCAA does it right now. On every sport across the field, they don't wait every 4 years. They do it all of the time. This is just the way that it's done. So when you get into the professionals, you find somebody organized enough to allow you to play your game and compete, let your dreams come true, be recognized for your hard work. Oh, and by the way, give you a contract and honor that contract no matter what. Good times, bad times, good for me, bad for me. I told you I'd do it, and I will. The end. If you're living in a world like that, and I was to tell your father in 1993 that that's the world you would be in, and he came from the same sport, he'd laugh and say, you're out of your mind. You better just do this because you enjoy it. And he would be right. Those statements change very, very quickly. And the guys who are out there and in your minds and on the tips of your tongue will always be the guys that you want to see. You're not going to think about yesterday's guys. You're just not. We don't actually want to see Michael Jordan come back. But boy, could we ever have some fun talking about if he did. That's where the real fun would come. But if we're actually Jordan fans, we know how this story ends. We know as a human being, you don't get better with time. You don't get better at something by not doing something. And we realize those glory days are gone. So let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Let's discuss it. But let's not actually see it. We don't actually want to see how the sausage is made. We don't actually want to see the reality. And this is the mistake that competitors will make. And this is why nobody sits out the NCAA season. This is why nobody takes off the Olympic Games. This is why nobody misses an NFL game, an NHL game, any way that you want to do it in any sport, anywhere, including this one, until recently. This is a brand new phenomenon. Brand new. What can you do for me as opposed to what can I do for you that gets me closer to my dream, not your dream? You never sat around dreaming that I would be recognized in front of my peers, that I would be on the covers of magazines, that I would be in video games, that I would be paid for what I do. I dreamed those things. You're providing the opportunity. Vince McMahon served himself very well a very long time ago when he openly told anybody that was willing to listen, the only thing I will ever give you is an opportunity. And I will give you that. But that's it. What you do with it, how much that motivates you, the drive, what you learn from it, whether that's going to be your pitfall and your landmine or whether you're going to use that as a springboard, that's up to you. That's not what I do. And many people used to view it that way. Many people still do. Don't be soured by the 4 or 5 people that are being crybabies out there. Don't. The number 2 guy or the number 1 guy that just doesn't want to fight the number 2 guy because he knows the number 2 guy is going to become the number 1 guy. Whatever it is, they're all excuses to not have to get up and walk outside. You see them all the time. Some of you have probably used them. In all fairness, wouldn't blame you if you did. Wouldn't be able to relate to you, but I wouldn't blame you. Okay? The right guy shows up every time, the end. You will never have a championship ever, where the right guy doesn't show up. You will never have a tournament. You'll never have a season. You'll never have an event. You'll never have a team where the captain doesn't step on the field. 2 through 20, different conversation.